Good morning. I see that we're on Facebook. We're having some trouble with Instagram right now. Not sure what's going on and why we're not live on Instagram. Let me see if I can figure this out. Nope. Okay, so looks like we'll just be on Facebook today, and I'll post it later on Instagram for everybody else. So welcome to First Chapter Fun. If you're trying to access this on Instagram, you can't, because for whatever reason it's not working today, so I'll have to fix that and figure out what's going on. Today I am delighted, good morning Natalie, I'm delighted to be reading from A.F. Brady's novel Once a Liar. There we go, that's what we're reading from today. Before we get to that, I hope you had a good weekend. Hi Hank. Hank is live as well, watching us as well, and Dale too. Dale, it was your birthday yesterday, I believe. Happy birthday, happy belated birthday. I hope you had a great day. Hope everyone had a reasonable weekend in this very strange environment. I went food shopping this morning, which seems to have turned into an extreme sport, trying to dodge everybody with your trolley, your cart. Sorry, that's an English expression there. Let me see again if I can get onto Instagram. Nope, Instagram's not working. Okay, so this is what we're reading from today. Alex, A.F. Brady, Alex, hopefully will be joining us a little bit later on. Hopefully she might be looking for me on Instagram, which is not cooperating. So let me tell you a little bit about Alex. A.F. Brady. She really is the coolest. I like to call her Cool A.F. Brady. Get it? So Alex is a born and raised New Yorker, a writer and an NYS licensed psychotherapist, and she's worked in mental health care for many, many years. She's been writing forever. She has 2 books out. The one that I'll be reading from, Once a Liar. Here we go. Oh, no. There we go. That was her second novel, out now. And her first one is called The Blind, which is absolutely excellent and also out now. She says, I'm a die-hard Yankee fan. I love Guns N' Roses and Metallica. I prefer Batman to Superman. And I want to spend a lot more time playing backgammon by the sea with a nice cold cocktail. You know what? That sounds absolutely fantastic right now, doesn't it? So, Alex, A.F. Brady, writes psychological thrillers. So both of them, her first one, I'll show you that one again, The Blind, which is awesome. I can't get away with saying awesome with my accent, can I? But also the one I'm reading from today, Once a Liar. So let me introduce you to this book by reading you the synopsis. In this electrifying psychological thriller, a high-powered sociopath meets his reckoning when he's accused of the brutal murder of his mistress. Did he kill Charlie Doyle? And if he didn't, who did? Peter Kane, a cutthroat Manhattan defence attorney, worked ruthlessly to become the best at his job. On the surface, he's charming and handsome, but inside, he's cold and heartless. He fights without remorse to acquit murderers, paedophiles and rapists. When Charlie Doyle, the daughter of the Manhattan DA and Peter's former lover, is murdered, Peter's world is quickly sent into a tailspin. He becomes the prime suspect as the DA, a professional enemy of Peter's, embarks on a witch hunt to avenge his daughter's death, stopping at nothing to ensure Peter is found guilty of the murder. In the challenge of his career and his life, Peter races against the clock to prove his innocence. As the evidence mounts against him, he's forced to begin unravelling his own dark web of lies and confront the sins of his past. But the truth of who killed Charlie Doyle is more twisted and sinister than anyone could have imagined. Oh, and she's here. Hey, Alex. Couldn't get onto Instagram. Instagram is not cooperating this morning. It's playing what my mum would call silly buggers, and I have no idea why. So I'll have to sort that out. But you just heard the synopsis of Once a Liar. Here we go. And now I shall read to you Chapter 1. So this is Once a Liar by A.F. Brady, Chapter 1. Now, Claire and I are sitting in the back of a black car, each looking out our separate windows. I see in the reflection that Claire has her hands clasped nervously in her lap, the strap of her handbag wrapped around her wrist. I methodically clench and unclench my fists. Claire reaches over my lap to lay her hand on my thigh, and I feel her looking at me with her sympathetic eyes, hoping I'll offer her comfort. I readjust my sunglasses and fluff my pocket square. As the driver turns onto Madison Avenue, a line of similar black cars appears with curbside doors swung open and Manhattan's elite filing out onto the sidewalk. The burgundy awning offers little solace beneath the heavy afternoon sun, and sweaty husbands usher their second and third wives inside the building. I hear Claire whisper, "You ready for this?" as I open the door and hold a steady hand for her to take when she steps out of the car. I can't respond. We're walking quickly down the carpeted aisle of the funeral home, nearly hip-checking acquaintances out of the way. I don't want to talk to anyone. I haven't said a word since we left the house. There's nothing I know how to say. Claire's much more gracious than I am, and she's looking back over her shoulder to coo hellos and whisper apologies. As we get to the first pew, I pull Claire by the wrist to enter the row before me, brusquely guiding her by the lower back as she shimmies down to the middle of the bench. She skids to a seat, and I remain standing to her right. I don't need Claire right now, and I'd rather she stay discreetly seated. I tighten my tie and survey my surroundings. I know everyone here, and everyone knows me. I can't remember most of their names, but they know who I am, and they know what I've done. I'm not looking at the coffin because I don't want to look at it and imagine its contents. Claire seems fixated on it. I glance quickly to see that it's tiny. It's tiny and white and lacquered. Juliet must have been 5'9" or 5'10" when she was alive. It doesn't look like she could possibly fit in there. On top of the coffin, white roses and orchids flow abundantly in a huge cascade, just like Juliet to make everything perfect. Even her death is beautiful. I scan the room, forced to lock eyes with people and nod politely, looking for someone in particular. Harrison Doyle, the New York County District Attorney, walks through the door and waves an inappropriately large wave at me. Harrison has been trying to get me to join him on his side of the law, but I'll never be anything other than a criminal defence attorney. He's afraid of me, and he should be. But right now, Harrison is not who I'm looking for. Even I can feel it as something in the air suddenly changes, and the mourners terminate their hushed conversations and slip into their seats. I watch as everyone around me sits, and finally I lay eyes on the person I've been waiting for. Jamie is walking through the doors with his chin to his chest, supported by Juliet's mother, Catherine. Jamie looks up expectantly as he clumsily plops down next to me in the front pew. Satisfied that he has decided to sit with me, I take my seat and lay my arm over my son's shoulder. I think I feel Jamie's muscles tighten slightly underneath the weight of my arm. I imagine he must be uncomfortable, everyone looking to see how he's handling his mother's funeral, and he's not used to the affection from his father. Claire reaches her hand over me to tenderly pat Jamie's knee. She knows how to do this better than I do. "You okay, honey?" she whispers. Jamie nods and a fat tear splashes Claire's hand. I watch the way they look at each other and make a mental note of what real sympathy looks like. Some priest or minister or whatever he is begins the service, and my mind wanders back to the time when Juliet and I were dating before we got married. She was vibrant then, jubilant. Before I broke her, she had all the life in the world. I think of the first charity benefit we went to together. She'd been planning it for months. I picked her up in a Rolls Royce and brought her a wrist corsage that matched the rose in my lapel. She laughed her brilliant laugh and wore it proudly for the entire event, gazing at it and me while she was on stage, thanking the benefactors for their donations. I remember the way the light left her eyes when she finally realised I'd never changed, despite her best efforts. I'm pulled back into the present As the music stalls and Jamie rises from his seat, he takes a deep breath, sending shudders through his broad shoulders. The priest pats his back as Jamie places his notes down on the lectern in front of him and clears his throat to speak. Thank you for coming. My mother would have been so happy to see all of you here, continuing to show your support for her. Although today's event is not benefiting a war-torn nation, underprivileged children or endangered animals, we're here to honour a woman whose life and legacy are just as deserving of our admiration and protection. I'm impressed with Jamie's words. I hadn't expected such eloquence for a kid not yet 16, but the discomfort is rising in my throat as I worry what he may have in store for his speech. I grew up in a single-parent home, but you'd never have guessed that because Mum played both the role of the father and mother to me for as long as I can remember. After Peter left, she picked up some typically dad-like hobbies and took me to sports games so I wouldn't feel deprived of a male influence. This is exactly what I was afraid of, bringing up my absence and adding insult to injury by calling me by my first name. All the sympathy I'd been getting from the crowd drains as they remember how I abandoned my wife and child. I tune out the rest of his speech and concentrate on appearing remorseful. As Jamie continues his tribute to his mother, I hear the sounds of smiles and fond memories creeping into the minds of the mourners around me, and I turn to study the expressions on their faces. I've caught the eye of my ex-mother-in-law, Catherine. Catherine hates me, but despite our troubled history, she offers me a sympathetic nod. I mimic the nod back and robotically clasp Claire's hand. When Jamie breaks down, talking about how quickly his mother turned for the worse, I carefully observe the reactions from the crowd. I file these looks away in my brain for reference in the future. I wouldn't have to pay such close attention if only I could still conjure these emotions naturally. But I haven't felt remorse, I haven't felt sympathy, and I haven't shed a genuine tear in as long as I can remember. The other two speeches are delivered by two of Juliet's childhood friends. I listen to the adulation and respect in the stories they tell. I laugh when the crowd laughs and bow my head when the crowd cries, just like I'm supposed to. When the pallbearers lift Juliet's coffin and Louis Armstrong plays, I pull out of Claire's grasp and escort my son down the aisle, closely following his mother's body. Juliet wasn't the first to die, and she wouldn't be the last. That was Once a Liar, the first part of the first chapter, by the amazing A.F. Brady, or Cool A.F. Brady, or Alex Brady if you prefer, and it is out now along with her stellar debut novel, The Blind. Tell you what, get your hands on these babies as fast as you can because they are absolutely brilliant, and Alex is a phenomenal author and a phenomenal person to boot. So, that was today's book, which I hope you enjoyed. Dale just says, way to leave us wanting more, Alex. Yeah, no kidding. I know, right? So that was today's book. And tomorrow's book, we have Love Heather. I hope Instagram will be up and working again. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know, bad connection or something. So Love Heather by Laurie Petru is tomorrow's book. Tomorrow at 11:30. So I hope you enjoyed today's read. And I hope I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay kind, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.